Welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob and I'm the host of this one-man show come to you every Monday, 6 a.m. UK time. And today we are talking about one new obsession that I have. I think it's usually what really motivates me to make any episode in general. But I would say the newest obsession that I have is specifically a TV show that has come out quite recently. I think actually it was 2 weeks ago when it came out, and it's none other than Love Story, not directed by, but produced by Ryan Murphy. It's directed by someone else, but it's supposed to be, I think, a series that follows different high-profile love stories. I would assume mostly American love stories, but this is the first season, and it follows JFK Jr., John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., and his at the time wife and partner, Carolyn Bessette. Now this is like on the premise, I guess I would be like, if you're not, like, usually I'm not into a lot of historical TV shows, and if that makes any sense, but on the surface, if you think it's just like not for you, I would listen to this episode, because I was also in the same boat, being like, okay, but why do I really want to watch something that is like so historically dated? In that sense, it's more like it did seem from afar like an historical recount of everything that happened, and it sort of is, but I would say most of it all, because it's also not Ryan Murphy, it's definitely more like romanticized, sensationalized, like, romance between two very high profile people. So there's a lot of like chic and glamour and sort of like mystery and a lot of yearning, which is like, the code word for, I guess, like this new year ever since the rivalry. But it is something that has been like really driving me towards new TV shows. And as soon as I saw, the casting, the acting, some of the clips on TikTok, I was like, this looks different, this looks interesting, this looks also very glamorous and very I would say, like, if you're a fashion forward thinking type of person, you will understand also why it's so important to watch this show, because JFK Jr. and Carol Bessette, Carolyn Bessette were fashion icons of the 90s. So it's all set, of course, in the 90s, like in that specific time period, but it's much more than that. Like, it's about the fashion of the 90s, about sort of the glamour and the sort of like the attractive side of the Kennedy's family, like the political and celebrity status of this couple and the Kennedys themselves, and it sort of also gives you a little bit of an insight on how the Americans view the Kennedys as well. I would say, like, there are actually basically like the royal family of the US, if that makes any sense. Like, it's the closest thing that they get there, and they are also, the family itself just has this very sort of legendary status to them. So both for good and bad reasons. Like, they have, unfortunately, what people like to call a curse that persecutes them. Like, most of the Kennedys have died in very tragic ways. So there's a lot of, like, cloud over the Kennedys, of course, but it's also interesting to see without being alive during that period, how much of an it couple they were, and how the paparazzi culture in the 90s and the early 2000s was so toxic. I would venture to say that now it's like a much more managed and manageable, I guess, compared to back then. But immediately while watching the show, I was like immediately thinking about Britney Spears, for example, with the paparazzi, and a lot of people, also famous people, who suffered from basically being harassed from the press quite often. So the whole, if you don't know anything, I guess, about the historical events that happened. This couple specifically got married, and they basically also died in a very tragic plane crash accident off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. So that's quite the tragic story already from the get-go. I mean, it's even the way the show starts. It sort of starts off from them getting on that plane in 1999, and then goes back 7 years before, just to sort of give you context as to how they met, and that's how the story starts, and like how they both got into this like on and off situationship, I guess. And it's so funny because like I don't know if I mean I'm sure this thing was being produced while also Hit and Rivalry was being produced, but it's so interesting to see these two TV shows coming out in close proximity, I guess, and how they have a lot of similar elements that are sort of really popular at the moment, like the like secrecy of it all, of these encounters at first, and then the going into public, and the high profile of it all, and these like amazing locations where they shoot these romantic escapes and all that stuff. And then it's also the yearning of it all, as I was saying. There's a lot of interesting elements. So if you, I guess, like my pitch to you guys, first pitch I guess would be, if you are into Heat Rivalry, you would love this. If you are into any sort of like 90s fashion, or just fashion in general, and seeing like very interesting pieces of clothing in that, I think you would definitely resonate with this. Like, this would be for you. And also, if you like seeing hot people, let's be honest, this is it. One thing about Ryan Murphy is that he knows how to cast people, and I would say he did an incredible job with this one, especially the actor who plays John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. This is probably the first big role that he had. It's uncanny, like they actually look so similar, and he is so good in the role, if I have to be honest, like really well cast. And same thing for Sarah Pigeon. She is playing Carolyn Bessette, and she's also very, very cool in the role. I think what really strikes me the most about her is that she manages to capture, I guess, the ease and cool of Carolyn Bessette like very well. It's very cool. Like Paul Anthony Kelly, I think he really plays the himbo role pretty well, because let's be honest, JFK Jr. was basically the himbo of the nation for quite a bit in the 90s, and I think he really captures that pretty well. Well, she has to, like, her role is a bit more difficult. She has to play this like sort of ingenue, like, but very smart and witty and powerful person. Like, she's from lower beginnings compared to, like, JFK, of course, JFK Jr. So she has to play this like very cunning woman that is very smart but also very beautiful and mysterious, and she does that so well. I feel like there's definitely cues that I've seen while watching the TV show, that really represent her, like represents her sex appeal in a way as well. Like, she's very sultry in the role, which is very, very cool to see. And just the way she moves while she's playing the character is just so interesting to see, so attractive, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I mean, there's so much to go to go over in this TV show, but only 4 episodes have come out as of today that I'm recording. So I would urge you to go and start catching up if you want to, if you haven't seen all the edits on TikTok and all that stuff. I think this is the show to, like, really follow up close. So yeah, as I said, like, I want to go first into a bit of history about both of the two main characters, so Carolyn Bessette and John F. K. Jr. Just brief history about what they are and like how the show is sort of going at the moment, like what's the main focus of the show. But so John F. K. Jr. basically is the 35th U.S. President John F. Kennedy's son. He's the son of JFK and Jacqueline Kennedy. He was actually born only 2 weeks after JFK became president, and he's always been sort of under the paparazzi, basically, like the paparazzi's attention and the press attention, like of course everyone's you know public opinion, ever since he was a kid. So it's been something like it's always plagued all of the Kennedys, to be quite frank. Like the paparazzi culture was just brutal all the time. But he was specifically, there was an extra layer there, I guess, like apart from being, of course, JFK's son and JFK dying in a very tragic way, he was also, out of the Kennedys, I would say, like the most handsome Kennedy out there, and he was also the most, I guess, I don't even know. I don't want to even say like he was playing the field a lot, but he was like the most interesting of the Kennedys at the moment, because he was quite a single and going from relationship to relationship. He dated many different important women, and he was in constant news cycles. Like he supposedly dated Madonna as well for a short while, so that was quite quite funny. So yeah, I mean, he's always been under the spotlight, and basically the way he met Carolyn Bessette was through a Calvin Klein event where she worked at, but he did meet her for the first time while he was dating someone else, who was actually sort of like a famous actress, Daryl Anna. We'll get to her also a bit later, because I do want to talk eventually at the end about a couple of criticisms that have been thrown at the show. But yeah, so he was definitely a messy type of person, if I have to be honest. But all celebrities sort of are, I guess, in that shape or form. And the Carolyn Bessette, intertwinement, I guess, was quite the tabloid buzz. Like it was the craze of all the paparazzi, because it was just like very interesting relationship to develop between like someone who is relatively unknown to the public and someone who's instead very super 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 high profile. And Carolyn Bessette was also such a again, as I said, like such a mysterious woman, like a character itself that was quite interesting to see. And I think they really portrayed her very well. I think the TV show as well is actually based on a book that mainly follows Carolyn Bessette's life and how she became that famous. But her story is actually quite different from I guess, as I said, like the JFK Jr. of it all. She was born in White Plains, New York, the youngest child of an architectural engineer turned cabinet maker, and Anne Marie, who was an administrator in the NYC public school system. So she wasn't really like like high class American act in that sense. Like she wasn't coming from very privileged backgrounds. In fact, she landed this job like in Calvin Klein. That was the main way she managed to meet up with JFK eventually. So yeah, she was in an editorial position, I think, a publicist, and she was basically, I mean, in the show, she's credited for discovering Kate Moss and pitching her to Calvin Klein. So that's major. But I don't know. I mean, assuming the book also it is the same, but yeah, that's a major thing. And then eventually, once she gets married to JFK Jr., she becomes. I think she starts assisting him in his magazine publishing and all that stuff, like very involved in that. So that's very interesting. Yeah, so the two of them are quite I feel like out of the both of them had a very unique 90s style, and specifically her, she had a very like minimalist fashion sense that is quite like current, I would say. If you go and look at what she was wearing, there's a lot of things that she was wearing that I think you could see anyone wear today, like the girlies. So Yeah, I mean, both of them were a fashion inspiration for the time, but also I feel like just memorialized forever in the pop culture consciousness. I guess basically as a, like it couple, like literally so cool. Like there's a lot of paparazzi scenes, even in the TV show, and it was that crazy back in the days for them as well, for real. So yeah, I mean, the TV show, I think it's mostly focused on the two of them, like their intertwinement, and now, I mean, basically the end of the TV show is pretty clear. Like it's gonna lead up to them getting married, and then living together and all that stuff, and then eventually going on this like plane trip to reach one of another wedding that they were invited to, and eventually crashing off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. So yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with it. Like literally, I've been gobbling down the show like ever since it came out. Just the edits, the music, the 90s throwback is just incredible. I think also the what really got me into it was because like I was on Twitter quite a bit before I started watching the show, and people were I saw with my own two eyes, I witnessed the fan casting movement of Bruce Wayne through this guy. Like everyone started watching this show, and everyone was saying like he is the perfect Bruce Wayne, and he is. If you go and look at you know the actor, his name always escapes me. Anthony Kelly. He looks, especially while he's wearing all these very fancy, suits and clothes and everything else, he looks like Bruce Wayne. So everyone is saying like, oh, what's his face? James Gunn, please pay attention to this show. And I'm sure he is paying attention, because this is not the first time that Ryan Murphy casts someone for James Gunn. Like the guy who plays Superman was also in one of Ryan Murphy's shows. So you gotta give it to Ryan Murphy, despite the weird choices that he makes and the obsessive attention to very tragic stories and not involving any of the family of these people that he portrays. I think he is a very smart producer, casts very, very well, but also I feel like he knows the Americana of it all, and he knows what stories really are hot topics and part of the American culture in that sense. So like all the TV shows they have done previously to this as well are all sort of in the same vein. This is more like a love story of it all, like, compared to like more crime adjacent stories, but this is it. This is very cool. Now let's go into some of the criticisms, I guess, that this show has been receiving. I think the main one is actually coming from the Kennedys family as well, and that's specifically JFK Jr.'s nephew. His name is, wait, let me find it. Jack Schulzberg, I believe. He's JFK Jr.'s nephew, and he spoke out against the series last year when it was in production, saying that he was profiting basically off of his family's tragedies, and in a very grotesque way, accusing specifically Ryan Murphy of being, a culture vulture in a way, and making millions of Kennedy's legacy without necessarily. Like it wasn't saying like he shouldn't be making a TV show about them, but it would have been nice to be involved in the discussion and to also send some of the profits to organizations that these two people, specifically like JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, really cared about, and stuff that the Kennedys really care about. So a lot of drama there, a lot of weird drama, but yeah, I mean, like it's scary. I mean, I think it has every point to like, every reason, I guess, to raise these, I guess, like criticisms towards the show. I do think there's definitely something to be said about how Ryan Murphy specifically, behaves when it comes to these shows, and how he chooses the topics, and how he doesn't tell the family of the people he's portraying isn't, inform them of much of what's going on in these TV shows and all that until they actually come out. And it's just, I think ethically there's quite a lot going on, but I do think, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but the TV show is done quite well. It's like sort of like The Crown, but American version, I guess. It's not as complex as The Crown in terms of how, things are handled, I guess. But it's still that, mythical sort of feeling that you get by watching something so historically important, and these very cool it couple, basically. So, but I do think that's an appropriate sort of criticism to be thrown at the show. And also I didn't like Ryan Murphy's reply to him, like saying like, you are so involved in this even though you have no memory of your uncle or whatever because you were a child when he died or something like that. So what the fuck, what kind of like reply is that? That's actually ridiculous. But yeah, so that was a fair, I think, criticism. I think the actors also I have, like, replied to him saying that they have gone into this. I do think that while there is some form of sensationalization, that's the word, going into this, because it's like, naturally a TV show and they want people to watch this. I think also, to be fair, like, they haven't portrayed either of them in a bad light whatsoever. Like, they've done this quite respectfully. So I do think on the other side of the coin, I guess, like, they're still doing pretty they're doing them justice, and they're not, portraying them in any sort of bad light whatsoever. However, there is someone who's being portrayed in a very poor light, and that's Miss and Daryl Anna, and that's the woman that JFK Jr. was dating, the actress that he was dating while he first then met Carolyn Bessette. So they dated, I think, roughly for 5 years, and towards the end of the relationship, he met Carolyn Bessette. So that's crazy. So yeah, I think that the way the show it portrays her is sort of like very annoying blonde girl, like blonde actress that is too on the nose. Like, she comes off so annoying and so actressy and so loopy and very annoying, which she was none of the sorts. And I mean, many articles have been written about this, saying that the Daryl Anna, who's still alive, by the way, should have sued. And I do think there's a bit of a character assassination here. Like, they want to build her character in the TV show as being the villain or anti Carolyn Bessette, like the opposite of her, and it's annoying. Like, literally, her character is so annoying. I'm not kidding. I mean, I do think that on the other hand, like, the smart thing here, and also this a real life event that happened, was that JFK Jr. was basically in this intrigue and like this affair between two blondes, and it's very interesting to see. Like, it's very iconic visually. And I think that it did also a very cool job at portraying her, like Carolyn Bessette, also being torn between two brunettes that look very similar. It's very interesting to see, basically, like, like the parallels that are there and all that. So that's visually and very interesting. But it would just be like, they both the other options, basically, Daryl Anna and the model that Carolyn Bessette has an on and off relationship with while she's dating John F. Kennedy Jr. They both are portrayed pretty, like, vapidly. Like, they're both very, like, shallow people. Like, there's not much going on there. Like, it's just really weird. Like, there's not really good writing for those two characters, I guess. I mean, I get they want to, like, make them, the two of them, like JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, come across as the two men, the two of them that are supposed to be meant to be, like, they are the couple. But you can still, I think, portray the other two in a very different light and give them a bit more, flesh them out a bit more, and not come across as so shallow, and still sort of push them to, eventually get away from them and get out of their lives in a way that's compelling, I guess. Yeah, so these are a couple of the main criticisms that the show has received, and I totally get it. Like, I think it's so fine. I think they are very valid, but I do think overall, just despite all these small elements, the 90s vibes and the way it's shot and the music and the two main actors are so compelling that I think it's such a good watch, such an interesting watch. And I think also it's cool to see two relatively new people on the scene come on the, on the screen and capture everybody's attention. It's good to see fresh faces, and I think Ryan Murphy, to give him credit, he's good at doing that, at scouting people and giving them new opportunities and bring them out in Hollywood. Not many people do that nowadays. Hollywood is still, pretty old-fashioned. Let's just say there's still very few fresh faces, but Ryan Murphy, to his credit, he has done quite a bit in that department of on casting, like, fresh people. And that's the same thing why we were so excited for Hate Rivalry to have these two completely unknown actors break out this massively. So, yeah, I wish them only good things, and I do hope that if, with the Warner Brothers mess that's going on with Netflix and everything else, they still greenlight that Batman James Gunn movie, and that he gets cast in that movie. Paul, damn, I keep on forgetting his name. My God, Paul Anthony Kelly. Yes, I hope he does. He gets a call from James Gunn and gets that role, because he's perfect, perfect to play that role. Anyways, little break for the sponsor of the episode, and then we'll get back to songs of the week. We're gonna finish off the month with that. Wait, because speaking of indulgence, I need to put you onto something. If you're the type of person who says, I just want one single cookie, and then somehow the entire box disappears, this is for you. Molly BZ, that's mollybees.com, makes artisan small batch gourmet cookies that are genuinely not normal in the best way. We're talking lavender, white chocolate, lemon glaze, chocolate cherry amaretto, coffee and rum. There's even one with mango, white chocolate, and hot Cheetos. Like, I'm not joking. Like, there's so many weird flavors in this that are actually really, really, really good. Every cookie is made in small batches, super high quality, melt in your mouth, layered textures, and it's giving luxury cookie experience without having to leave your house. And I love this part. It was founded by Molly, a single mom from Alaska, and it's now been featured on Food Network, Martha Stewart's Living, even the Grammys. Like, cookies with range. I've got you the highest exclusive discount they offer, which is 10% off any order. You just go to Molly Bees, which again, mollybees.com, and use my code Overshare Pamphlet, and you get, basically, for full transparency, I do earn basically a commission, so you help also the podcast by using the code. So again, mollybees.com, and use my code Overshare Pamphlet. Honestly, these are gifting level cookies, or I survived this week cookies. Both are very valid, so indulge, please. Right, we have the songs of the week, the last songs for the month of February, and these are very much inspired by, partially by, again, Love Story, the TV show, and a couple of them are also, just songs that I've been listening to this week because of several different things. But the first two songs that I want to talk about are the songs that are inspired by Love Story, most of all. Those are the following: Buckle Up. Well, the first one is actually used in the TV show, and it's Set Adrift on Memory Bliss by PM Dawn. I'm sure if you go and listen to the song, you've heard it in commercials or anywhere. Like, it's such a cool classic song, but it's a very groovy, I guess, and not groovy, well, more like sexy, sensual song. Has a very nice, like, sexy guitar, and then it's like, yeah, the vocals are like, nah. Sad adrift on memory bliss of you, It's such a catchy song, but also so smooth. I love the vibe. It's just very, very cool. And it sent me in a whole spiral of like 90s music, which led me, specifically 90s R&B, that led me to Janet Jackson. And I know this one technically came out year 2000 or something like that. It's All For You by Janet Jackson. That's more like upbeat, groovy R&B, and it was so good. Like that, it's all for you. It's just so. It made me just fall into this rabbit hole of like 90s R&B and like 90s music, just incredible. Like, listen to these songs, and you'll fit right into the vibe for the TV show. Like, that's just incredible. Then I have Lucky Again by Lick Lee. Don't know much about this artist, but his song is so cool. Very there's a lot of violins. I think a lot of strings in this song, and it's very. I don't know why, but the strings here remind me a bit of like Chinese songs. Like, it's just interesting, but very, very cool. And it's mostly about, she says like, I think, I don't know how, I don't know when, but if we're lucky, we'll get lucky again, as in like we'll meet up again, this is not the end. If we're lucky, we'll be, like we'll get lucky once again. Such a cool, interesting message. I just, found it very compelling, if I have to be honest. It's very cool. But yeah, the song is just very beautifully produced and catchy melody of the chorus. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm keeping my eyes, peeled to the screen, and I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing more stuff from Licky Lee. Apparently, the album is coming out soon-ish. So that was fun. Then I went to the Florence and Machine concert in London this past Tuesday, and it was incredible. And I was so captivated by Buckle, the song from her newest album. It was, the new album is Everybody Scream, but the song Buckle is just very like acoustic guitar-y, and she played it live, and it was so good live specifically, and made me fall in love with the song a lot more. And it's basically how it's a very personal song to her, specifically. Like, she talks about how she's become this famous, and whenever she sings in concerts, like, she's so many people come to see her, but the one person she wants to see doesn't even talk to her, like doesn't even get in touch with her for days. And she's surprised basically that even despite all this attention that she's receiving, she's still like, a buckle on his belt, basically. It's just she keeps on hanging and waiting for him. Like, he's just he's just like a very interesting dynamic, I think many people can relate to. And the writing on this is just really, really good. Like, she's incredible on this track, and just a very interesting song. I really, really liked it. Also very stripped back, so there's a lot of focus on the lyrics specifically and on the vocals, and she's in that department. Also, Florence is just unbeatable as well. So a lot of cool stuff. And then the last song I want to talk about is Cinema by this is technically K-pop, but it's Woods, a solo artist. The song is incredible. I think I talked about Woods before. I put his song Drowning in one of my previous playlists, but this is it. This is like, sort of like a follow-up, I would say, from that. It's in a similar tone, like that punk rock ballad-y song. So good. His voice is just incredible. He's so emotive, and the melodies are just incredible. So I just really, if you like more like a rock power ballad, this is it. And I therefore also urge you to listen to Drowning if you haven't done so already. But yeah, these are the songs for the week. You can find them in the playlist of the month, which is usually on Spotify. You can just search Overshare Pamphlet songs of the week -- whatever month and year we're in. So we're gonna close the February playlist, but don't worry, next month we're gonna start the March one. So pumped for that. Pumped for spring. Today is the first day, well, second day I guess, where the weather is sort of warm-ish. I could wear lighter clothes outside. I am so ready for spring. We need a warmer weather. I'm so ready. Anyways, have a great week. See you in the next episode. And watch Love Story, please. Bye.